Begin transmission. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Outer Rim transmission number 38. I'm joined by Ben, and we'll be shortly joined by Milton. This episode is going to be all about the Book of Boba Fett. We are just under 2 weeks away from the premiere episode of the series, and we're doing our predictions. This is our prediction show, so those of you that are joining in live, throw in your predictions for the Book of Boba Fett. Maybe we'll see some certain characters. Maybe we'll go to some specific locations that we all know and love. Let us know in the chat room. If you guys are watching live, you can also listen after the fact on any of your favorite podcast streaming services. Just a order of business here. We are not doing a show next week because it's the holidays. It's going to be falling on Christmas Eve. So that's not going to be a great time to record. And the following week is going to be New Year's Eve on Friday. So what we're actually going to do, and it works in our favor, is on the week of the Book of Boba Fett, we get to actually record that the day that that episode comes out on that Wednesday. So that'll be a one-time thing. We'll be recording and live streaming on that Wednesday, as everybody by that point will probably have seen the episode or had just got done watching the episode. So you'll be able to join us here on the YouTube channel, and hopefully we'll have some really cool things to talk about with that first episode. But how are you doing, Ben? How's your week been?
Oh, good. It's been a real fun week as always. Just a lot of family time. Babysitting the newborn niece is always fun. Just seeing her grow, that's always a good thing. Yeah, it's just been a real nice week. It's actually was really cute. We discovered this week, she's about 6 months old now, and she actually loves my little like Grogu that I've shown here on the podcast before. She loves it. Like when we set it down in front of her and we press its head and it makes its noise and its arms and eyes move, she just like locks onto that thing and just doesn't know what to think about it and just smiles and laughs. And it's just so hilarious seeing a baby interact with basically another baby.
Yeah, no, those things are literally like kid magnets. Like every kid just gets so fascinated. It was just such a great design that Lucasfilm came up for the Grogu. I mean, it's just likable by everybody. Like, how could you hate that thing, even as an adult?
Oh yeah, no, it's great. It's literally every person, like I said, she loves it. She's only 6 months old, and then my grandma, who's in her 70s, loves it. Like everybody, across the board loves Grogu, and that's whoever came up with the idea initially, like to begin with. Whoever said let's make a baby Yoda, whether it was John or Dave or Kathleen or whoever, like, they definitely deserve a raise because that is a major that's one of the most iconic Star Wars characters ever. Like, it's right there with Vader. It's pretty much right there with Darth Vader.
Oh yeah. So, as far as me with like my week in Star Wars, I'll be honest, I really didn't have a whole lot going on for a change. I mean, Star Wars things I read my usual comics, did the reviews. Can't really say much more because right now, if I'm being honest, the only thing I have on my brain, besides doing this Book of Boba Fett preview, is Spider-Man No Way Home. As of going live, I literally just uploaded my review, which is why we're a little bit late actually tonight recording and going live, because I had to get that out there for you guys. I have a spoiler-free review of that. And this will kind of play into like my week in Star Wars, because I seen this thing on opening night on Thursday, and I got such heavy like The Force Awakens premiere vibes, because that theater was buzzing before the movie even started. Every single seat was taken up. That parking lot was jam-packed like I've never seen it before at my local Regal Cinema here in Central Jersey. And it was just the moments. And the movie is great because it's paced so well. So you have those big moments like you would see in Endgame, where it's like somebody's coming through the portal, right? Like you have stuff like that happening pretty specifically and consistently throughout the movie. So to see the crowd response of just clapping and cheering and people just literally losing their minds to the point where when certain things happen, there's dialogue and the room is so loud with people raucous, like laughter and everything else. Like, I'm going to have to see the movie again, because I'll be honest, I didn't hear a lot of the lines of dialogue at those points. They could be making the funniest joke ever, and I just have no idea what they're saying, because that room would erupt. Like, the energy in that room felt like it was a rock concert, felt like maybe if you were going to like an NFL game, playoff game or something, like it was just out of this world. And walking out of the theater, I was just like, man, Star Wars needs to get a movie like a caliber movie where everybody unanimously loves it and feels good after it. And we haven't had those since, I would say, definitely Force Awakens and Rogue One, were those movies where I had the same kind of feeling as I did last night walking out of Spider-Man No Way From Home, but or No Way Home. But man, oh man,
Yeah.
what a cool experience that was.
Oh yeah. I think honestly, the biggest moment we've had like that, just in general, really talking about these type of things, seeing people's reactions, seeing how everybody is pretty much universally loving that movie. I haven't seen it yet, so who knows? I could be in the minority, but I doubt it. um, but no, I think what's nice when it comes to all of this is just seeing all the fans from all these different ages and groups that they've grown up in, just everybody coming across the board, basically loving a thing like this. And that was my first thought as well, was I wish we had something like that in Star Wars. Like, that's what Star Wars should be. That is what Star Wars should be. Like, there shouldn't be any of this divisiveness or like having low expectation, subverting expectations, or any of that junk. Like, we literally should be having these type of moments as Star Wars fans, and we really don't as of late. I think only like cinematically we really haven't had that in the movies. I think the only thing we really had close to it in the movies was maybe the Vader Rogue One scene, because everybody got really crazy for that in my theater. And then other than that, the only other universal moment I would say for Star Wars fans was Luke appearing at the end of Mando season 2, but that's a show. That's not even in a theater. So I don't know. I hope Star Wars catches on and maybe can take a hint on pacing even for their movies potentially. Then again, Marvel and Star Wars movies are totally different genres in my opinion. Like just the structure, like you can't have the comedic elements you do from Marvel in Star Wars, in my opinion, because then it feels kind of too it goes back to like the Last Jedi thing of not even like throwing shade at that movie, just the whole basically your mama joke thing between Poe and General Hux at the beginning of the movie. Like when Poe makes the crack about Hux's mom, like that, that's not a Star Wars thing. So like those type of Marvel jokes wouldn't work in Star Wars, but Star Wars should just take like the hint, the pacing of the movies as a whole. Like as you said, whether it be this movie or some of the other Marvel movies in general, just take hints at it leading toward some of these future Star Wars movies that are potentially coming out. Like maybe get some consultations from Kevin Feige and like, hey, this is kind of how we pace our movies compared to yours. And just, you don't have to follow it exactly. Just, take some, learn from it basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I will say is just kind of ending, because I don't want, I could easily turn this into a Spider-Man No Way Home podcast tonight, because that's just kind of where my mind is right now. It's just swirling with just thoughts and everything about that movie. I was up till 2 a.m. Talking about that movie with my girlfriend, looking online. I immediately went home. We got out of the theater, or got home 1 a.m. and it was like, I got to go online. I got to look up fan theories. I got to see what's going on with the buzz. And everybody was like the same as me. Everybody was just on cloud nine. But what I will say, and in this little intro here, is the fan service done right. I know Star Wars hasn't gotten it down all the time. I'm looking at you, Rogue One, when you had C-3PO and R2 just standing there doing nothing. And we love Rogue One. I just said that was like the next biggest moment for me was like that crowd engagement with that movie. But I feel like this movie nailed it, and it's worth talking about and bringing up. Like, hey, sometimes there's a way you could do it right. Sometimes not so good. Not you don't want to hold the hand of the fans, but you also don't want to just assume that everybody knew already either. And I feel like there was a lot of great kind of in between with that movie when it comes to that.
Yeah. I mean, I just got a text from my best friend who always tunes into our podcast, and he literally just walked out of the movie and he texted me, that may have been my most favorite Marvel movie of all time. It exceeded all of my expectations.
And that's the thing, right? Because I will mention this as well. And you guys know this because you and Milton, because I was saying it in a chat. I was so spoiler phobic going into this thing, like beyond belief. Like I treated this movie as a Star Wars movie, as far as, and this applies to Star Wars, so it's not too much out of the realm, but I go through a thing that I call the social media blackout. As soon as I find out the date that people have the premiere, sometimes people blabber too much. You know, they're not supposed to reveal too much, but sometimes people let things slide that reveals too much information on Twitter, and then it just ruins it for me. I want to go in with these movies that I highly anticipate. I want to go in knowing nothing. I don't even want to know if the movie's good or bad. Like I don't even look at reviews. Like I don't even want to look at a YouTube thumbnail because half the time they'll give something away. So it's like I completely like I didn't delete the apps, but I would not use like YouTube, or if I used YouTube, I would like cover my hand like on part of the screen, because that's all I need is my curiosity in my eye to like look down and be like, oh, I see that's gonna happen. Great, now I know what's gonna happen. So I try to eliminate all of that, which makes me sound like a crazy person right now. But believe me when I say like I did it and it worked, and my anticipation of this movie was already super high and somehow exceeded it. It somehow exceeded my expectations because the execution, all these things that I was hoping for, some of them came true. I'll put it out there. But it really came down to the execution of how certain things happened, which made it even better in my mind for how things could have gone. And that was cool, right? Because you can know spoilers, and people love looking at spoilers. It's a whole different kind of culture. Their mindset, I think a lot of them is, oh, how is it going to play off in the movie? You can read it on paper, but how is it actually going to get defined like in a moving picture? And that's where a lot of the magic comes from. It could either fall flat or not, ring true at all. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, well, that's a big thing too when it comes to spoilers. Like even just to let's say on the Star Wars side of things. So if you let's say we all knew the spoilers for the end of Mando season 2. We knew Luke was going to come in and wreck shop, and then we were going to get the Book of Boba little cutscene at the end of it. Like we could have known all the spoilers to that, and it could have sounded really cool on paper. But if they would have came out and they would have not executed well on it, it still would have been bad, Just because something's good on paper, like when you hear spoilers, doesn't mean you will like it in particular, or doesn't mean you won't like it. It just means, sure, it's a spoiler, but you got to just judge it based on your own merit, because like that's a thing I've learned to like audit myself on basically too, is like there are a few movie reviewers, heck, even you, Chris, like you and me have a lot of similar views on these type of movies and things. And I try to like, before I watch any of these new things, I try to like wait to check out your opinion first, because I don't want to be influenced by your opinion since we have like similar views on movies, like, because I don't want to go in automatically thinking, oh, Chris likes it, so that means I'm going to really like it. I want to go in, you want to try to go in as blind as you can, or at least try to leave that at the door, proverbial door, basically, before you watch it. So like, that's a big thing to remember, just for anybody watching anything really, whether it be Marvel, Star Wars, whatever, that, those are big, important things.
Yeah. I mean, put it this way, like the worst case scenario is I was hyped up for this movie and I see a bad review. Then I'm going to be like, well, crap. Like now, most likely I'm not going to be as highly anticipating. That's part of the fun. Like I love like that moment, like sitting in the theater, like I was saying, we're waiting for the movie to start. It's like the last preview, and you hear the buzzing going on. And that's like the best part. Like you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen right now. This could be either the best movie, the worst movie, or just a movie that's mediocre. It could be anything, and that's part of the fun, because then you get to just sit there and let it play all out. And man, oh man, did it play out pretty well for me. That's where I'll leave that one. Like I said, I have my review on the channel. You guys can check it out. I literally just uploaded it. It is spoiler free. Go ahead and watch it. There's nothing you have to worry about that could even hint at anything in that review. I tried to be very careful about what I was saying. I usually think I do an okay job with spoiler free reviews, but I know this one's important for a lot of people to not know anything going in. So if you're interested, if you think it's worth your time, I'll just tell you right now it's worth your time. But go ahead and check out my thoughts maybe after you watch the movie and see if we agree or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they could always just go grab your review, just pause it real quick, and then add it to their playlist for later and come back to it after you get done with the movies. Because that's another fun tradition I like to have personally. Like, I have my initial reaction once I get out of the movie, like, oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, okay, let me open YouTube and let's see what Starrapter saying. Let's see what John Campea is saying. Let's see what Star Wars Theory. Let's see what all these people. And I love checking out other fans' reactions. It's so much fun. Like that's one of the biggest, most fun parts of the movie going experience is checking out what other people in your
Yeah.
genre, whether it be Star Wars or Marvel or uh, serious movies or whatever, like checking out what other people who like the type of movie you like, what they have to say. And like that's one of the most fun things I love doing. Like, heck, when I got done with Rise of Skywalker, I literally probably was up another like 2 hours
Yep.
watching different videos of
Yep.
people talking about it because I just
Yep.
love it. I think it's so much fun seeing what people have to
Yeah,
say.
it really is. That's what I was doing last night. I was like, I got a doctor's appointment. It's like, of all times, I have a damn doctor appointment the day after this premiere, and I have to watch it at 10 p.m. showing. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna hate myself for having to do this, but I was like, it was worth it. It was so worth
Yep.
it. And here I am doing a podcast at almost 10 o'clock at night, hoping that I don't look like I'm sleepy on the camera. So let's try to get through this one quick, but I won't make any promises because every time we say that before we record, I'm gonna make this one short, and then we're up till 11 o'clock or something like that. It's like, well, so much for that. But we're gonna get into some Star Wars talk. I know we talked a lot about Marvel. There's not a lot to talk about with Star Wars, so that's why I wanted to take a little bit of time talking about that. But it did,
Yeah.
like I said, I think it does go hand in hand with spoiler culture and fan service. That's always a good thing to talk about because Marvel and Star Wars, they have a lot of crossover when it comes to the fans and what we kind of all shoot for and like and all that kind of thing. So. All right, so
Oh,
getting into the show proper, we're going to talk a little bit about what came out this week. We have two High Republic comics. We have the High Republic number 12. We have the High Republic Adventures 2021. So we're inching ever closer to the next wave, the final wave of Phase 1 of the High Republic. So the High Republic 12, it sets up a lot of the characters. They found out that the location of the Nile base of operations, which is in no space. So we have Avar Kriss, we have Qi'ra, and there's very interesting things going on in that book. You have Qi'ra that is like he's a Trandoshan, and there's apparently some kind of disease that happens in certain Trandoshan brains, which will make them become primal, like their primal instincts as like a carnivorous kind of animal come through and override their judgment, and that's what we see him go through. And it also at the same time diminishes their force abilities. So it's really interesting seeing a character like him starting to lose his grasp on the force, but also like lose his mental stability at the same time. So that's really neat. You have Avar Kriss, kind of reminds me of like an Anakin Skywalker, because at this point there's a lot of political stuff going on. It's like, okay, do they want to, go after the Nile, who have literally killed hundreds of thousands, if not, no, they've killed millions of people at this point. So of course somebody's going to want to have vengeance. So she wants to go and take the fight to them, but of course it's not really the Jedi way, and she's acting out of her own accord and not following the Council's directions. So now the Council wants one of the other Jedi to kind of spy on her, kind of like what happened with Anakin spying on the Chancellor. So I'm getting like a lot of cool vibes of like, oh, like there's some patterns, there's some echoes here of things that could happen in the future. So Cavan Scott is the writer on that series, and I think he's doing a great job of making connections. And we also have the High Republic Adventures Annual 2021, and that's a really cool thing because it's going to have every single one of the writers. It's got Cavan Scott, it's got Daniel Jose Older, it's got Charles Soule, it's got Justina Ireland, as well as Claudia Gray. They all have like their own little short stories. Now some of them take place like in the past, but then some of these stories do factor in with what's going to happen in the future. Like there's some stuff that's going to go down on Corellia pretty soon, which is pretty significant because Corellia is in the core worlds. And at first, the Nile only operated in the outer rim. And then at one point, they wanted to like insert themselves more in the mid rim. And now they're literally trying to make deals with officials in the core. So they're becoming quite a force to reckon with here. So both of those stories are, of course, the High Republic. And I have reviews for both of those on this week's comic book reviews. You can check that out on the YouTube channel that you're watching, or go there after you get done listening on the podcast. So getting into our first story, this came out late this week, and I did not expect this. Really, I did not expect this. We are getting a new Han Solo series. And what's very interesting about this, well, it's a Han Solo and Chewbacca series. It's not just a miniseries. It's an actual full-fledged ongoing series. So this could get 12 plus issues. It's taking place in between Solo, Star Wars story, and in between A New Hope. So you're looking at, maybe just a few years before A New Hope at that point. and it's going to be about the adventures of Chewie and Han and dealing with the underworld, dealing with Jabba the Hutt. I think it's a good time to announce something like this because they deal with the underbelly of the criminal underworld. And whoa, I wonder what's ending up in February. Oh, it might be a little show called The Book of Boba Fett. I'm gonna have a direct prediction, that's gonna relate to this story actually. So I won't explain it yet. I'll hold those cards a little bit close to my chest for now. But I think what's really interesting, and me and you, Ben, talked about this a little bit in the chat earlier when I broke the story. It's just like, hey, like they're getting closer and closer to that territory, which we would consider a Solo Star Wars Story 2 to be set in. The fact that we have Qi'ra now in a comic book, the fact that we have this Han Solo story, does it appear like they're gonna never have a Solo 2 at this point?
Well, that's what, that was my first reaction was that just totally squashes Solo 2. So I think, honestly, the direction they're going to go with that is if they want another live action Solo, it's going to either be in the Mandoverse or we all keep forgetting and overlooking, and I don't see anybody talking about this really. There still is that Lando series out there. They haven't announced, we don't even know if it's live action or animated.
Yeah.
We're going to get to see Han on screen as the Lando series, and that's probably it. Other than that, I think Solo 2 is totally squashed.
Definitely. I think we have somebody in the chat. Hello, Milton. Can you hear us? Oh, I thought he was in the chat. Okay, he's appearing on. Sorry, guys. I knew this. We were gonna get some technical stuff going on in the middle of the show, just because we're trying to bring Milton in. I at least see his image. I don't know if that's his profile image or something. I'm gonna turn that off for now until he responds. But I guess he's using. I guess he got Skype working, or if that was something that came up later. Anyway, we'll continue. Continue with your point there, Ben. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Anyway, as you get that figured out, yeah, I did see him pop up, Chris, for a second there, and I heard his audio. But anyways, yeah. So with the Solo 2 thing, I think we have a few options. Sure, this podcast is about the Book of Boba tonight, but Solo 2 is a massively implicated thing as well, just because of all the fan backing behind it. Akin to the Snyder Cut, make whatever the Snyder hashtag that's been going around for so long. I mean, heck, you've seen Jonas retweet it and post about it. You see people involved with that movie post about it, and then when you listen to people that talk about it, like Ron Howard has kind of alluded to it in a negative way, and it basically sounds pretty bleak, like it'll happen, because I think at the end of the day, it was such a failure. I mean, there's no other way around it. It's a cult classic. Fans love it now, but since it was such a failure at the box office, what are they called? The stockholders, they're too gun shy to go back and do it.
Yeah.
Why would I just view it this way? If I'm a stockholder or a person on the board there at Disney / Lucasfilm, why would I write you another $150 million check to do this movie when you only made $500 million last time, and potentially with all the reshoots and everything, we only broke even? This is Star Wars. This should be profiting at least 800 million profit on top of our costs. So I just think it really made the people involved there gun shy about trying to do another Solo movie. So that's why I think we're going to get Solo sprinkled in the Lando show when the potential appearances in the Book of Boba Fett, in Mando, in Ahsoka. Actually, it won't be in Ahsoka, but in these different iterations. Maybe if the Feige movie is during this timeline, maybe they'll bring Alden in or something. It just all falls on execution, really. And I think we're heading in that direction. I do think, with all this being said, with all this negative, sad stuff being said, I do think we will see Han on screen again, whether it be TV or the big screen. I'm not sure. but we will most likely see him again at some point just because there is a fan following. And if that drum keeps getting beat, eventually they'll be like, okay, we won't give him his own movie, but we'll put him in this show, or we'll put him in the show as like a test and just see how fan reaction is, because Twitter directs a lot of things these days. And if Solo pops up in the Book of Boba and it blows up, people would go, and it's all over Twitter and trending for multiple days on end. They might look at that and go, hey, let's greenlight a show with him and Chewie, or let's greenlight a movie with him, something like that. Maybe they'll do something like that along those lines. But I think that's the only potential hope we have for anything bouncing off of the Solo movie.
Yeah, that was like great points, and yeah, it's just something to think about, man. About this is a brave new world we're part of. The technology allows us to get a lot of things that were thought of impossible before. So really, when they opened up that can of worms, Luke Skywalker in episode 16 of The Mandalorian, season 2, the season finale, it's just like, okay, this is New Horizons, this is the new frontier. Anything could pretty much happen at this point. So yeah. It is worth it. I want to give credit where credit is due. And this is another cool point here, which I know you and Milton are going to both appreciate this one. Mark Guggenheim, the actual writer for Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow. Like, this is the main writer on those series, is doing the actual writing. It's being penciled, the artwork by David Messina. I believe I've read some of his artwork in comics, but I was like, whoa, okay. Like, I don't know if this guy has any Star Wars credit, but he could certainly tell a great story on the screen. So, I'm very curious about what that's going to happen here. Yep. It's saying that, the duo is going to team up with Greedo, who's apparently like on their side at this point. So, I'm assuming that we're going to get that story about how, Han dropped the cargo at the first sign of the Imperials. That would be a loss if we couldn't get that.
Oh yeah, I think that's, when you sent us that news initially in the chat, I was so happy about that, actually. Just because, like, Mark Guggenheim, like, Arrow does have its flaws, but it has a pretty cohesive story. It does have good character development. One of the best parts, and I was thinking about this earlier today before we went on air, I think that also gives us a little bit of hope for potentially connections to like Solo 2 stuff, just because of the fact that we have Solo, or not Solo, in like the Arrowverse, we have like crossover events, like the Crisis on Earth, Infinite Earths, and Crisis on Earth X, and those type of crossover events between the Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning, all of those shows have crossover events. So I really think there's a chance maybe getting him involved, maybe this comic will cross over potentially with like the Lando show or something.
Yeah, real quick, your mic is a little bit staticky.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's anything, maybe unplug it, plug it back in real quick. Sometimes that solves things.
Yeah, no problem.
It could also be your internet, because you were lagging pretty bad at some point, so I don't know if it's just your connection maybe is causing the audio issues.
1 second.
All right, while you're figuring it out, I'll just move on to the next story here. This one doesn't really apply to me very much. Okay, I think it's better.
One moment, I'll turn it on and off.
You're good. It's fine now.
Oh,
yeah, it's actually a lot clearer. It was a lot clearer than it was before even. Okay, that's cool.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's very clear now. Yeah, very good.
Okay, perfect. Continue.
Yeah, so getting into the next story, I was just gonna segue as you're trying to figure it out. We have Star Wars with a cooking show or a cooking episode. So this comes to us from StarWars.com, and there's this new show that's on Disney Plus, and the inaugural episode featured some Star Wars cooking. This is called Foodtastic. Looks like they're building some kind of X-wing, but it actually looked pretty interesting. They have a quick clip on the StarWars.com article where it's not just like, oh, they're making like a little cake or something. they're legit making like a almost like a to scale X-wing out of like cake and stuff. So that was like, oh, that is actually unique. Like that is pretty cool. It's not just your typical like that's a big craze now. I never got into it. I'm not a huge cook or anything. Because that's big. It's like, okay, there's an audience for food shows and hey, let's try to throw a Star Wars spin on this thing. So it was worth mentioning at the very least.
Oh yeah, I think that's pretty cool actually. Like I never really got too much into like the different food shows and things like that, just because that's not my thing. Don't get me wrong, I can cook. I'm actually a really good chef. I can't lie about that. I cook very well. But yeah, this show it's interesting just because like you said, it's a different genre. And I can't wait just to see how people react to it, just because it's so different compared to most. I mean, there's nothing else like it in Star Wars, so it'll be interesting just to see how people react to it.
Yeah, I was like, oh wait, is this a Star Wars cooking series? But then I realized, oh, it's a single episode out of everything. Um, so yeah, you can watch that episode aired on or I guess you couldn't call streaming airing, right? It just gets uploaded, I guess would be
Now,
the correct term.
what's the word? Man, I may not sound smart asking this, but what's the word? I forget. What's the word inaugural mean? Does that mean we're going to have more next year? Or no, that's annual, I guess. Never mind.
Yeah, inaugural means like the very first one ever.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
that's what I believe that
Interesting.
means. Like, oh, this is the monumentous occasion, it's the inaugural episode.
Oh yeah.
And what we're gonna do is we're gonna
Hmm.
talk about the inaugural episode of Book of Boba Fett. That's what everybody's here for. That's what the title says clearly is our Book of Boba Fett predictions. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go round robin, back and forth between me and Ben. If Milton shows up, awesome. He is having some technical difficulties. Just at the nick of time, of course, Windows had to do an update, and well, we know how that all goes sometimes. So those of us that have to rely on tech, it doesn't become reliable at the times we need it half the time. So we'll see what happens. But if he can at least communicate in a chat, and we'll definitely throw out Milton's points or anybody else's points. If you guys are listening live, go ahead, send them in the chat, and we're gonna have a good old discussion about speculation. And that's one of the funnest things about Star Wars for me. Is just shooting the breeze with some friends. Hey, could this happen? Could this person show up? Could they go to this location? Could this tie into this? What's going on? You know, that's part of the fun. That's like half the experience. And then, of course, seeing if it all comes true. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Ben. Give me your first prediction for the Book of Boba Fett.
So let's say are we gonna kick this off by predicting first episode, or are we predicting just in
I mean,
general?
just the whole series. First
Okay,
season,
okay.
7 episodes. They
Okay.
are. So anything that could happen
Okay,
within
cool.
that time frame. Yeah, let's open it up a little bit.
All right, cool. Well, I think for sure we are going to be getting. I think we're going to get Grogu making an appearance at some
Oh,
point. Yep. I'll just go with a crazy one at first, just because I think they won't be able to hold back from doing that, just because Grogu is such a big marketing point to a degree, and it all falls back on the whole thing of Boba and Fennec Shan making that promise to Mando about protecting the kid. And I feel like even though the mission was completed, if Boba would potentially see Grogu in danger, I think he wouldn't just turn his head to it. I think he would get involved. So I don't think it'll be early on. It won't be the first, second, third, fourth episode. I feel like that could be a potentially end of season mission type of thing. Who knows? Maybe who knows? Maybe Grogu ends up getting kidnapped to some degree for some reason, shape, or form. And I think potentially Boba could get involved. Like maybe that's our crossover with Mando. Maybe Din stops in and is like, hey, I need your help. The kid got taken, blah, 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 blah. And we go along those lines for an episode or two. Because I just don't think, I think, so we have all talked about all of the potential guest appearances and things like that, whatever. You know, we'll definitely get into those with more of our predictions throughout this podcast tonight. But I think the most obvious one that nobody's talked about so far is Grogu. And I think that would be such a huge home run, almost like the first episode of the first season of Mando, because no one was expecting Grogu whatsoever. I don't think anybody in general, like if you ask him, is Grogu going to be in the Book of Boba Fett? 9 out of 10 people will say no. If not 10 out of 10 people will say no. So I think there's a good chance they sneak him in, and we have a potential home run situation again of Boba or of Grogu making an appearance within this show and just blowing everybody's socks off. Like I think there's a really good chance of that happening.
Okay, so a couple things off that one. Like I'll be one of those people like you mentioned, like 10 out of 10 chance of that not happening, 100% chance of that not happening. I feel like there's two reasons why. First off, like I feel like we have to have some kind of separation from him because they specifically had this whole built out scene with Luke Skywalker getting this long goodbye, and then they would just ruin it like by having him come in. Like we have to feel some kind of separation so when he comes back, it's gonna be the talk of the town. Everybody's gonna be like the return of Grogu. If we have him so soon, it's not gonna feel like we've even left him. So that's the first point. And I think your mic is also having issues again. I don't know if there's like a wire crossing over or something like that that is maybe getting frayed. Yeah, there's a little bit of feedback. Maybe it's a certain way you move that gets to go a little weird. Yeah, you sound almost like a evil droid or something when you start speaking. Okay, that's better.
1 second. I think I know what it'll do.
Is there a wire that's loose or something?
Oh,
anyway, I will carry on as you continue to fix that. Another reason is this is the time not to have Grogu in the show because it's the Book of Boba Fett. So people aren't going to expect to see Grogu because this is not Mandalorian. This is not Mandalorian season 3. This is the Book of Boba Fett. So this is their first test, I feel like, with Disney to be like, hey, we don't have to feel obligated to have Grogu in here because this isn't about Mando. This isn't about Din Djarin. This is our chance to see how like a show does in the Star Wars universe that's not animated, that's live action for the first time, that's not going to feature Grogu. Like how are the fans going to react to just a straight up underworld show? And originally we were thinking about that with Mandalorian. It was like this is going to be that gritty warlike show, and then the first episode it's like, oh, we got this cute cuddly creature. Boba Fett is basically be what people wanted from the Mandalorian originally. People love what it is now, obviously, but like the other version of like, oh, what happens if it's just all gritty and gunslinging? That's basically what this show is going to be. So it's not going to be any cute cuddly creatures in this show. I don't think so.
See, I don't know. I think there's a chance. I really do, just because it's marketing. It's such a big character opportunity. Then again, maybe instead of Grogu, maybe Din pops in and has a mention of Grogu just to get fans talking about Grogu again, or something. Like maybe Boba just says, "Hey, where's the kid?" or something, something like that. Like I do think though, one way or another, I think if not Grogu, it'll be Mando popping in and talking about Grogu.
Okay, well, you just took my next one, so.
Oh, whoops. Okay,
I'll just branch off of that. I'll say, well, I mean, I've seen the rumors, the reports of, Din Djarin was, going to basically be in the season. And it makes sense, right? Like, people have to have the anchor to be like, is this in the same universe? Because people will still get confused. People will be like, and then they'll see Din, they'll be like, hey, I know that guy. He was in season 1 and 2 of Mando, and then you're going to have that connection. But it's also going to be cool because they were talking in the promotion up to this, season 2.5. So what does that mean? Mandalorian season 2.5. We're going to get whereabouts of what Mando's doing after taking that light cruiser away from, maybe we'll get an update on like, hey, what the New Republic is doing. Is the New Republic starting to like actually realize what's going on? So I think we'll get some kind of exposition to currently what's going on. We're going to see Din Djarin. They want to have him as a connection for sure. Maybe not necessarily to have Grogu, but I think every season of every other show is probably going to have him in it for at least like one episode.
Oh, for sure. I think he's going to be like our what's the Marvel character? Agent Coulson. He'll kind of be like
Yeah.
that, popping in here and there, making little appearances and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, heck, like I think that's kind of the direction they'll go with it. And that'll potentially work with like, Pedro Pascal's in a lot of big projects and stuff. Maybe that'll work better with his schedule just being kind of like a side character. Like the Mandalorian basically kicked off the Mandoverse. Now he can kind of step back and let it settle and, just pop in for a guest appearance. And heck, it doesn't even have to be him. It can just be a stunt double and then he record a couple lines and keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll go along that direction versus him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we're gonna read out on the chat. We have some people active in the chat. We have Milton Weber. Again, have tech issues. that's Windows for you. He's saying, think Book of Boba Fett will obviously explore the underworld and take us to planets that are very familiar in the first few episodes. Then, as the episodes progress, we're going to get a lot of brand new characters and a new character that has a connection to Boba's past. So yeah, I mean, of course, I think we're gonna see characters like, and I don't want to go through it because I'm gonna like go back and forth, but no, that makes sense. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. I'm gonna go over to Erin Daly. She's got a comment in here. Do you think Omega will be mentioned at least once in the series? I know it's too soon for an appearance, but at least it may make a connection to the Boba and all need at some point, in a future episode of the Bad Batch. So yeah, that's the interesting thing, right? It's like, do they want to like have more about her story featured in in Bad Batch before bringing her into Book of Boba Fett? Because they're so closely linked. Like it's revealed that she is basically the sister of Boba Fett by all means, basically. So that's huge. And what happens if we see this badass warrior with like blonde hair show up? It's like, who could that be?
Yep. Oh, for sure. I go back to one of the episodes in Sid's bar. There's like a Mando outfit in there that's the all white, the proto outfit for Boba. Like, man, what if Omega gets that all white Mando outfit and we have this woman bounty hunter, woman Mandalorian in all white Mando armor show up and, Boba not know who it is. And maybe, I don't think it'll be in season 1, but I think her appearance, I think if I had to put a percentage on it, I would say season 1, it's like a 5% or less chance. But season 2, I think you're looking at least a 50% or higher chance of her making an appearance.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to cycle back to your first prediction. We have Dark Nerdy Gonzo. Thanks for joining the chat, everybody, by the way. And if you want to join in on the chat, follow through with us every Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern. We're always here live, except for Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. You won't find us here then, which are our Fridays this year. Otherwise, but he is saying, remember Grogu being on the Boba Fett film crew jackets that leaked a while back?
Yeah, I thought I saw something about that.
I don't remember seeing news at all, so I have no clue about that one. But that could lead some evidence and more credence to your crazy speculation on that one, I would say.
Or if you want to get crazy with that, before we branch into our other theories, if Grogu makes an appearance, forget Mando. What if Luke and Grogu are on a mission and they have to go to Tatooine for something? And we get Luke going back to Jabba's palace, and it's Boba running the place. Like that would be wild.
See, here's the thing, though, and this came out literally earlier, like a couple hours before we recorded. Anthony Rodriguez, one of the executive producers and creators of the show, was doing an interview, I believe, for either Variety or The Hollywood Reporter, and straight up said, "Oh yeah, all the trailers that you guys have been watching, it's only the first half of the very first episode." And I got the feeling of that because, man, oh man, I was like, these trailers are showing us nothing. Like they're literally showing us the same thing from like maybe a couple seconds ahead of the scene or behind from the one we've already seen. So that led me to believe like, okay, there's some crazy stuff that they just don't want us to see that is going to be like the big priority of this actual series. And I will I guess it's your turn. I'll throw it back to you now for your second prediction here.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would have to say, you know, we have wide scoping implications like these characters and things like that, like whether it be Grogu or other. I feel like a lot of prediction videos come down to predicting characters, I think. So for me, I think there's a good chance that we're going to see a lot of more. I guess I would say more of the creatures of Star Wars too. Like, I think, well, part of it too, I've heard rumors. So, I mean, there's rumors out there. I think we're going to for sure see like a rank war again. I really think we're going to see that, especially based on the shots from the trailer. I mean,
Okay,
just the
so
way they were looking.
that's your prediction is a Rancor.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
Interesting.
well, I think a rank war. I think we'll see more of like the different things of Star Wars, like rank wars. We'll see the different ships. We'll see different, you know, like iconic shot type of things. Like, you know, the rank, you know, like I said, the rank war, it's like an iconic thing. We'll probably see like old X-wings or old, who knows? We might see an old like YT-1300 and mistake it for the Millennium Falcon, like something like that. Like we'll see. I think we'll see things along those lines that'll really drive home the narrative of it being post Return of the Jedi, but also like a new age in Star Wars. Like I think we're gonna get things along those lines, and you know, I think they'll just all really connect to like the greater story, really. But I do think the different vehicles and things like that will eventually lead to like a moment, you know, almost a moment like we had in Mando season 2 finale. Like, you know, how they're like, oh, and X-wings coming in, and we know we all knew it was Luke. I think there's a chance we're going to get something like that, whether it be a vehicle or like a character appearance, like say the Luke thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying like Luke's my second prediction or anything, but like, you know, if we see like a cloaked figure, like I think we'll see like a cloaked figure, or we'll see like another vehicle. Who knows? Maybe the Millennium Falcon. We'll see the Falcon. We'll hear the noise of the ship. Like I think we're going to get a big reveal in that way with the vehicles or with the creatures or something like that. Like I think we're going to get a big reveal that's connected to something like iconic we know already, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. That's so looking at creatures, this is what I was thinking about. If we have any possible avenue for this thing to show up in, it would be this show. I want to see a full practical hut like they did in Return of the Jedi with Jabba. I want to see an actual slimy creature being controlled by like 3 or 4 people with like levers on the inside. I want to see like the huts. Yeah, you know, the hut council's been destroyed. What about Jabba's son? You know, we've made the jokes a few times on the podcast, but like that could be a cool thing. Like calling, you know, Dave Filoni's involved with this damn project. He's the one that came up with Rod of the Hutt, unless George Lucas did, but he had a hand in creating them. So why not bring in a hut and go all out? Just go all out, man. Like try to even make it better than Jabba.
Oh yeah, I think there's a chance for a hut. I think there's a chance for other characters we're not even really thinking of. Maybe we'll get more like crossover characters, a funny character, you know, like different side characters from The Mandalorian season 1 or 2. Maybe some of those type of characters pop in. Like I think we're gonna get characters connecting and crossing over through the ways of, like I said, vehicles or aliens or whatever. Like I just think I do hope we get some Jawa action again, because I love Jawas so much. They're so funny. They're such funny creatures. Like I would love to see, like especially with how serious Boba Fett is, I would love to see the Jawas trying to mess around with Boba Fett.
Oh my gosh!
Like I think that would be really, really good. But yeah, I just think there's room for not improvement, but addition. Like I do think out of all the biggest like side potential characters we're gonna have though, or interesting ones that have connected to other properties before, is I think there's a chance we're gonna get, you know, with Boba saying he wants to rule with respect. I think there's a really good chance we get a meeting between him and like the Tusken Raider chief, like like maybe getting like some type of a peace treaty thing going, or something, or like territory, territorial treaty going, because Boba obviously has respect for the Tuscans. I mean, you'd assume so anyway, since he was rescued. So maybe we get something like where maybe Fennec Shan or maybe some of the people are like, hey, let's go exterminate these Tuscans, and he's like, hold up here, like these people saved me. So I think there's a chance we get connections to more of these like side characters that also connect to the greater connections to the Star Wars universe.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, Villain's also chiming in. Will we see level 13, the infamous level from that video game that everybody's been talking about that got canceled, unfortunately, but it's also, displayed primarily in the Clone Wars. What do you think about that location? I feel like that is one of the perfect locations for like a seedy underworld type of environment, right? In Attack of the Clones, we get a glimpse of like that nightclub and all that sort of thing, and that's where Jango Fett was. That's where Zam Wesell was. So I think it's a great location, man. That's a good pool. I like that.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. And here's a connection even with that. To my point, bring in Dex. Have Dex guide Boba, like, something along those lines. Like have Boba looking for someone in the underworld. Go down there. And I think it would be really cool because now we could get like a modern. If they go to 1313, they're gonna kind of like mirror Attack of the Clones' underworld. Like, but it'll be more updated and stuff. So I think there's a pretty good chance we get something like that, because there's no way we're going to just stay on Tatooine the whole time. I really don't think that.
And I really I really like the idea of like having the complete dichotomy juxtaposition of like this just very bland earth tone planet, like, and just follow that up with like the complete opposite of like super ultra modern with neon lights and just like smoke and just condensation dripping off pipes and all, like just darkness everywhere. Like that would be a really cool palette cleanser from being in the bright suns of Tatooine. Another location, another location that is similar to 1313 that I had on my brain is maybe finally actually get to go to the Smuggler's Moon of Nar Shaddaa. I feel like that's also a crime-ridden place. It's like right near the Hutt capital. Maybe they'll go to like Nal Hutta, then they'll make a stopover on Nar Shaddaa, something like that. But it's about time that we go to like the gambling capital of the freaking underworld and to see what's going on there. It's like the Las Vegas of basically Star Wars universe. So I really want to see that. Hopefully that comes through.
Oh yeah, like that's another cool place. I mean, remember we talked about that before Mando season 2. We were thinking that could have been the place where that guy was strung up outside the club for the first, when we were breaking down the trailers for Mando season 2, and it ended up not being it. But I think there's a good chance we go to Nar Shaddaa as well. Like that's a really good one, actually.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. All right, you can throw one out now. We'll alternate back and forth.
Oh man, you got some good. We've made some good points so far. For me, I would say another like really big one. I would say we have to be heading in the direction of the Crimson Dawn. Like I know that's a big discussion point we're going to get into on this one, because all three of us, I'm sure all three of us probably had that as a point for this episode.
Yep.
But I think, like, I just feel like that's the biggest arching point for this show. Like, I don't think there's anything else that's even close to it, honestly. Like, sure, the Grogu thing could maybe happen. All these locations and cool aliens, that'll happen. But I think the biggest thing, like, that could really be the home run potential. Like we said before, Mando season 1, Grogu. Mando season 2, all of these different character appearances plus Luke, of course. Now for this show, what are we gonna do as the home run type thing? It's to satisfy everybody, bring back Qi'ra, and it would just blow the doors off the internet.
Yep. Yeah. So it's basically like, compare this to Marvel Disney Plus series. It seems like Now, without giving anything away with this episode of Hawkeye, but
Yep.
every penultimate episode of the Marvel series brings in like the big, huge thing. And it seems with Star Wars, it's generally like the first episode and the last episode of whatever series. Like the first episode, Grogu. Second episode, literally Tamora Morrison's Boba Fett broke the internet. Like people were freaking out. Like that's freaking Boba Fett without his armor. Qi'ra,
Yep.
that's the next thing. Because like I keep pointing this out, and I don't know if enough people are realizing it. Because I mean, they're not the comic book sweaties like I am when it comes to the Star Wars universe. But I mean, duh, we have the War of the Bounty Hunter series. Like I have showed off on camera one of the issues that had people literally in like the same outfit as those guys. It's a crimson thing. They're using crimson shields. It doesn't take a rocket science to realize like there's a good chance these guys are also named Crimson Dawn with all the red they're wearing. So uniforms, right? So like, and I have never seen any other people in Star Wars wearing those outfits before. And the fact that they're all uniform reminds me of they're like some kind of like militarized thing. And in the last TV spot they've been put out called Ready, they said, "Oh, that was the first wave." It's like first wave
Yeah.
of what? They said, "Oh, the war is about to begin." And with the comic books, it's like these guys are embedded in every organization that is important to the galaxy, from the Empire, the Rebel Alliance, to the Black Sun, to wherever or whoever. They're embedded in every organization, and you don't know who's who. And I mean, I think it's pretty much a given, and I think it's gonna be a huge shocker if she shows up. Well, it will be no matter what.
Oh, 100%. Like if she shows up, it'll totally blow everybody away. Like just because even us who like check out the comics and we're really in the weeds of things when it comes to Star Wars, like it'll blow the doors away for us because it'll be like, whoa, like they actually went there. Especially, months and months ago, what's her name? Amelia Clark. She was pretty much saying she would, it's amazing seeing her character back in the comics and things like this and blah, blah, blah. And to me, I think there's a really good chance that she's going to be the hidden surprise character for everybody. But the crazy part about that is like, it'll be wild if she's going to be the villain of the show. Like, just because it'll be like, wait, who are we having to root for here? We love Qi'ra, we love Boba Fett. Like, what side are we on?
Yeah, no, I mean, and then the way they portray her in the comic books right now is she is very much like a pragmatist. Like, she has good ideas. Like, her ideas are strong. Like, she wants to eliminate the Sith because they've caused nothing but destruction for the galaxy and caused people lots of harm and death and everything else. Like, she is trying to just carve her way in the galaxy and has always been a very good businesswoman. And she's not like just like, I want to take over the world so much. She's just like, I just want to carve out my own little territory. Just give me my own little piece of this thing, and I'll be happy over here, just making my money and just continuing to get jobs. So, I mean, that's the thing with her. I feel like she's gonna be very like she's a very gray character.
Yeah. Now, do you think, here's the thing to go into potential predictions as well. So let's talk a little bit character deaths. Do you think we'll have, I guess we'll start off with this. Do you think there will be any like character deaths we know of in this show or not potentially? Like to me, as you were talking about all of this, I think there's a chance maybe to set the tone of the show. Maybe it may not be the first episode, of course, but maybe toward the end of the season, I think there's a chance Qi'ra could kill Fennec Shand to make, really make an impact on Boba. And I think that could maybe be a big catalyst for the show.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Fennec Shan, I mean, I'll be honest, she doesn't have like the biggest arc right now. It's like
Yep.
she just seems like she's just like the right hand of Boba Fett. Like she doesn't really
Yep.
have like her own aspirations. Just says, yes, I'll do this because Boba Fett, he saved me. I have like basically a life debt to him, sort of thing.
Yep.
But she's not got much more going on, and maybe we'll get a lot more of her story, which I expect through this. I mean, geez, according to the promotion of this show, there's only two characters that exist in this show, and it's Boba Fett and Ming-Na Wen as Fennec Shand. So Obviously, they're holding stuff back. That first episode, I think, is just gonna blow the doors open on many characters. Maybe even. What happens if it's just an entire crew of Dengar and Bosk and IG-88 or something like that, right? Because there could
Cad
be a lot
Bane.
of Cad Bane. Um, yeah, there's interesting thing there as well. I'm gonna throw this out to Dark Nerdy Gonzo. He is making a reference to something I do not know about. He is saying, I would like to I would like another return appearance of the ring from Legends. Was cool to see it got featured in the Lego Freemaker Adventure episodes. But let's have it legit. What's the ring? I'm guessing
Hmm.
it's like a fight ring somewhere. They kind of
Oh,
already
man,
did that in season
I,
2, episode 1.
I don't, I honestly don't remember. Just because I like for me and Milton, of course, and Milton was here as well. I probably read more legend stuff, than I can remember. Like, I've literally read like almost everything that was pre-Disney purchase, like I read. So like I've read literally everything. I don't remember that though for some reason. Maybe if you can put in what book or what it came from, maybe that'll help. But yeah, I'm not sure honestly.
Hello there, Chris. We have Chris Forsyth joining us in the chat. Again, keep sending in your different predictions and whatnot, and we will get to them as we go through our list here. So, your last prediction was what exactly? I'm trying to keep us in track here.
Oh well, we just got on the Crimson Dawn and Qi'ra discussion. Is
Crimson
basically
Dawn,
what
Crimson Dawn.
what yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Oh no, character. Anyone wanted to know about character deaths? Character deaths we were talking about for a little bit of time there. I'm trying to think of another character death. I mean, I think that was a great one. Fennec Shand having not much to do right now at this point. So it's really hard to
Yeah.
talk about character death when we only really know of like 2 characters that could
True.
possibly
I guess
show
if I
up.
put it this way, I guess if you put it this way with the characters, I think also there's a chance if we get a character introduced that's similar to the one guy from Mando who dies at the end. Um, if we get a next like Quill was in Mando, like I think if we get a character like that, that's kind of the buddy. They'll probably get killed off at some point.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna go real crazy. So I seen, and my next 2 predictions are gonna revolve around. I'll space them. I'll let you go before I get into both of
Yep,
these.
no problem.
Um, I'll do one and then I'll circle back and get the other one later. Both these revolve around Shadows of the Empire. Something that happened recently in the comics lends more credence to this. Uh, there was in several trailers like this swoop like rally cry of these hut enforcers. I'm gonna just throw this out there. My buddy Ward Lafferty private messaged me and was like, "Hey, is that the YT-2400?" I said, "Oh, I gotta see this." I was like, "No, unfortunately, it isn't." Doesn't mean that Dash Rendar can't make some kind of return. So I'm gonna throw a bold claim and say Dash Rendar is gonna come back into canon in this show.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility, and here's the reason why. Like we have plenty of characters making appearances. Like sure, Bo-Katan and Ahsoka, they're they're characters we all know and love. But for like the big audience, they're characters the big audience didn't know probably. So maybe Dash Rendar could be the next character that's like we all know and love him, but 70% of the people don't know who Dash Rendar is. So I think there's a chance we could get it. And wasn't technically, I'm not sure if it's canon. I'm not sure what version of A New Hope it was from, but wasn't Dash Rendar's ship seen flying away in A New Hope spaceport?
Yeah, I mean, that's
In one of the,
YT-2400. It could have been anybody's ship. There was also a
yeah,
YT-2400 in one of the Rebels episodes as well with Mart Matin
yeah,
character. So
yeah.
there's a chance for that. Um, I'm trying to do some stuff in my head right now, thinking about certain character archetypes. We have plenty of bounty hunters. Hell, we have a Jedi or 2 at this point. unless Han Solo shows up, do we really have like a legit smuggler character in the Mandoverse yet?
Hey, think about it. That's actually a really good point. We don't have a smuggler in the Mandoverse. What if we get like a YT-2400, or we get some type of a ship where we think it's going to be Han? What if they do a bait and switch? We think it's going to be Han coming out, and it's Dash Rendar.
Oh man, I would
That
lose my crap on that one. I would just jump up and cheer and probably go digging in the attic for my old Dash Rendar figure and my YT-2400, and you'll see that thing sitting there back there on the bookcase next episode.
Well, because that's the thing. If you think about it, like, hey, if we can't get Han in this series, let's just get the fake Han Solo, basically.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
not?
exactly.
Why not? Like, let's do it. Let's get the fake Han interacting with Qi'ra. That would actually be really interesting.
Oh
Like
my
if
gosh.
she'd make a jab and be like, "You resemble somebody I know," or something
Oh man.
like that. That would be actually amazing if we see Dash Rendar. Like, man, now I'm hoping we get him. Yeah, that would be really cool. And his character could work because, take the name away, we need a smuggler for the show. Like that fits this time period, that fits, the state of the galaxy, that fits the people we're dealing with, the criminal underworld type deal. Like, there's smugglers in the criminal underworld. So, hey, what a better time than Dash?
What about you? What's your next prediction?
Oh man. Well, to cap off the smuggler thing, man, if we're not gonna have Dash in there, we need to throw in Hondo. Like, I want a live action Hondo so bad. Like, I think he would be so much fun just to pop in for something. But not Hondo. Anyways, I'd say my next prediction really would just have to do with the show as a whole. So think about it this way: if we're going to be getting the Crimson Dawn, let's just say we are. Let's say we're getting Crimson Dawn first episode with Qi'ra. Boom. What is the overarching goal of the Crimson Dawn, of the group Boba's running, of these other criminal groups? Like, they're going to have to connect, because we all know, based on what Kathleen Kennedy said, all of these things are connecting to something. Like, there's something they're connecting to. What is the overarching? I think this show is going to solidify by the end of the season, most likely the final episode. I think there's a chance we get something where Boba is interacting with, who knows? I don't even know. Maybe another criminal group. Maybe another familiar face. Like, who knows? I don't even know. Luke, Han, Leia. I don't know. Maybe someone's reaching out to Boba and like, hey, we don't want to ask for help, but we need help because there's a greater threat named Grand Admiral Thrawn building a fleet in the unknown regions of the galaxy. Like, I think there's a chance we're going to get some type of bigger oomph connection to the Mandoverse, because this show isn't going to be isolated to it. It'll be isolated for most of the series, but it's going to have to connect to the greater wide scoping thing. And with the whole Mando season 2.5 thing in the back of our minds, it has to connect to that greater arc. Like, there's the whole big thing with Mandalore. Like, Bo-Katan literally talked about, I just watched season 2 of Mando last week. Like, Bo-Katan basically referenced a fleet getting ready for battle. Like, what are they getting ready for? So my thing with that, it's like, what are they getting ready for? What's this wide scoping big battle or big mission they're getting ready for? And I think that's going to connect to the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka. And I think that big overarching mission is basically, I don't think we won't have it really messed with even in this season, maybe not even next season. Like, I think the way this is going to go is it'll be like the background, the C plot throughout Boba season 2, or the B plot throughout Boba season 2, because like, I think Boba will basically get a warning, like maybe, hey, like Grand Admiral Thrawn's fleet is coming, blah, blah, blah. And Boba will basically wave it off like, yeah, whatever, who cares? And then that'll kind of circle back around maybe toward the end of this season. and then into the next season of the show, and you will have ramifications down the road. I think that's how we're going to connect, because there has to be some connection to the greater story.
Yeah, so I think what's going to happen with the overall story is, this was my initial thought on seeing all these spin-offs come out. Again, you have, obviously, Book of Boba Fett deal with the underworld. You have different thrones. Like, you have the underworld throne. You're going to have whoever's in charge of the New Republic. You're going to have whoever's in charge of the Mandalorians. And then whoever, with Ahsoka and all that. So you have, like, all these different power players. I think with Book of Boba Fett, we already knew about a rumor going around about, hey, he's checking off names on a list kind of thing. He's going off checking names on a list. So he's going to ascend the throne by taking out all the competition. So he'll be, like, when you think of the underworld, you're going to think of Boba Fett. So he'll be in that position by maybe the end of the season where he'll be, like, sitting comfortably on that throne. Like, yeah, there's nobody that can oppose me. I'm very powerful in where I am right now. And then you'll have somebody like Mando, like, reach out, like, oh, we need the underworld. We need the underworld to help us out. And he'll be like, if anybody watch Game of Thrones, he'll be like House Stark, in the north. And he'll be, like, rallying all the northern houses, like, underneath of him, to, like, go underneath his banner to support, like you said, against this external threat, maybe. So, like, I think they're going to build to that, maybe, like, every episode is going to be like, hey, how do we tackle this opposing crime lord and gain their followers? And then next thing you know, he's basically got, like, an army by the end of it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, too. I mean, we all know Star Wars rumors can be murky at best, but there are rumors out there that, like, with the upcoming Mando season 3, a lot of it is going to be based around basically, the galaxy's hearing this, or a lot of the people are hearing stories of this really good deed Mandalorian, helping people out throughout the galaxy. Like, so to me, if those rumors would be true, that would connect to this, like, along the lines of, like, hey, like you said, they're going to be rallying the troops basically for this greater war, which is going to take place.
Heck yeah, I think we'll each get into one more prediction for our wrap up on the Book of Boba Fett predictions. I'm gonna throw out one that I hope it comes true. Put it this way: if Qi'ra's in this, I expect that Prince Xizor is gonna be in this. Damn it, Prince Xizor! I'm bringing another Shadows of the Empire guy in this, because Prince Xizor, man oh man. He got actually name dropped in the latest issue of Star Wars Crimson Reign #1, and ever since that, I was like, it makes so much sense to have him in the Book of Boba Fett, because the Black Sun are still around post Return of the Jedi, thanks to Aftermath. We know that Lord Giotti at the time was the leader, but we know who's actually pulling the strings. That's Prince Xizor. So obviously, the Black Sun are one of the most well-known crime syndicates in the galaxy. They're going to want a piece of that pie after Jabba and after Bib Fortuna is dead, so you would think that that's going to be one of the first threats that's going to happen. So, there you go. Prince Xizor, and I cannot wait to see what he looks like live action. That's going to be so cool.
Oh yeah, I think there's a chance of that for sure. Like, we have all these different connections to Star Wars Legends. To me, I've gotten to a point of, like, what's truly Legends and what's not. Like, because we're at a point they're just straight up taking things from Legends left and right, it feels like. So I think Prince Xizor will have a good chance of being in it, especially with all this underworld criminal type element, and especially, like you said, with Qi'ra. Like, if we're getting Qi'ra in it, I feel like he's going to be in it at some point, and I think that'll be another good villain. It'll be similar to almost like Moff Gideon, where we don't know who like the general audience, like our parents, they'd have no idea who he is. But, like, for the hardcore Star Wars fans, they'll be like, oh, that's awesome, blah, blah, blah. And they'll do it in a way where we appreciate it, but everyone will still be included and be able to watch it just for what it's worth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I do want to interject real quick and follow back up. We were both wondering now 10, 15 minutes ago about what the heck the ring is that Dark Nerdy Gonzo is referring to. He gave us a great explanation. The ring was a circular ring starship that was a black market. On the inside was the Legacy Comics was featured in, and other Dark Horse comics. It was hosting a pod racing event in the Freemaker Adventures. So there's our little tidbit. That's pretty cool how they actually put it in Freemaker Adventures. So
yeah, that is actually pretty cool.
final prediction for the Book of Boba Fett.
I would say my final overall prediction for the show is, see, that's a tough one. Like, when I got thinking about my list of things, like, you have the characters, we have the connections to the bigger stories, we have things like that. I think a lot of it is going to really, I think this could be a ballpark one or a, I guess, swing for the fences type one. I think there's a chance, we see Boba involved with Bacta so much, and it sparked my idea, and I was thinking about it a lot more throughout this week too after our episode last week. I think there's a chance maybe a shock moment of the show is we get a thing of Boba saying he's dying, like the cloning process is accelerating or something, and that could be like a major shock moment for us because, like, this is like a legacy character, we love him, so like, I think it'll connect back to Aaron's point earlier in the chat about Omega. I think Boba will have all the criminal stuff going on. I think there's a chance in the background of the show, we'll find out maybe halfway through the season or something, he's dying or he's slowly dying. And that'll be something sitting on the back of our minds throughout the show, like as we're getting worried about Boba through the show. And maybe Boba is like, hey, I need to search to see if there's any clones remaining whatsoever, to see if I can find somebody to help save me. And like, hey, that could be the connection to these Kaminoans as well with the Empire. Maybe Boba starts searching for people connected to that, and that's how he runs into Thrawn's group of people potentially, or even that could lead to him tracking down Omega. And maybe that's how we get Omega eventually into this show. I don't think it'll be this season, but maybe we find the revelation of Boba Fett's dying toward like the middle to end of this season, and it carries over as drama for us as the audience leading into season 2, and that'll be kind of like our background thing that's happening while all this other action's taking place. And who knows, maybe that could potentially explain. Then again, Boba had just recently got out of the Sarlacc pit and everything. Maybe that could explain why he didn't fight as well against Bo-Katan's right-hand woman, the other Mandalorian girl. Maybe Casca Reeves.
Casca Reeves.
Maybe that could explain that, and maybe we'll get something along those lines, some type of revelation that Boba Fett's dying, and that's why he's dealing with so much Bacta, and he's going to have to look for another descendant of the clone troopers, and that could lead to our cameo of Omega down the road.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, it's hard to, like, bring Boba Fett in and kill him so quickly. Like, it all depends on if we're getting more than one season of this show. And then if he is going to die, it's like, what's the significance of even introducing him? Why was he introduced? Like, was there a main plot point that was introduced that had him have to be in this show? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So.
Yeah, well, we'll see. That's kind of the thinking I'm having is I think Boba's like Din Djarin or Luke or any of our other main plot characters. I don't think Boba will die, but adding the drama in of Boba saying I'm dying will just increase the drama of the show as a whole, and it could lead to it'll lead to the big emotional moment when Boba gets saved by Omega potentially.
Yeah, so revolving around Omega, Boba Fett would be a very crucial character to have and to make those connections there. So we threw a lot of predictions out in a very short amount of time. So thanks for everybody for sending in their own feedback as well. It was fun chatting with you guys as well, getting involved with that. So yeah, this is gonna do it. So like I'll remind everybody once again, we will not have a show next week. Usually on Friday, but it is going to be Christmas Eve, December 24th next Friday. So we're gonna take a break off. It's the first break we're taking. So it'll be good to kind of recharge. And we're gonna come back that following week, not on a Friday, but on that Wednesday, the 29th. We'll be back live at 9:00 talking about the very first Book of Boba Fett episode. So man, oh man, that is gonna be one heck of an episode you guys will not want to miss, because everybody's going to be on cloud nine. Hopefully I get that same reaction I felt walking out of the theater for Spider-Man No Way Home, because if that's the case, then they succeeded. So that's what you guys can expect. As always, you can go to our Teespring store, search Outer Rim Transmission. You can buy yourselves a t-shirt, help support the channel. You can easily support the channel also by simply subscribing if you haven't already. That way you guys will get notifications, and do always go ahead and hit that thumbs up icon. It will allow us to appear a little bit easier on people's feeds there, and hit the notification bell icon. If you are watching, you can download us. You can download our episodes over anywhere from Google to Spotify to Apple. We'll be on there. Just again, search Outer Rim Transmissions. What are you going to be up to this week, Ben, besides eventually going to see Spider-Man?
Yeah. The goal is to see Spider-Man in the next about 48 hours or so, and watch that and probably be all excited and everything like you are. And then watch sports, of course, and just lead into the holiday week. The Christmas week is always a lot of fun, and I can't wait. That's always a lot of fun. And of course, as we all may know, I'm sure you're the same way. Like, you're the Star Wars guy of the family, so everybody's going to be asking you about Star Wars stuff. So that's that's pretty much the normal thing at our holiday gatherings for Christmas. That's pretty much all I'm going to be doing. That and watching Christmas movies every night leading up to Christmas Day. That's always a lot of fun. That's something I've been doing every day so far in December. And, that, and then just going to the gym. Well, lifting here at our house. I have all the gym equipment in the world. So just lifting and, being active and, just the normal daily things, and talking with you guys and talking with people on Twitter about Star Wars. That's always a blast. And yeah, it's just a great, as I always say, it's a great time to be a Star Wars fan, but it's also a great time to be a movie and TV fan as well.
Oh yeah. December is one hell of a month if you are an entertainment fan in general. It's crazy. I just finished up my playthrough of the Halo Infinite campaign. Absolutely loved it. Have my review of the entire game as a whole on the website. Yeah, it is. YouTube is a website, of course. That sounds so old-fashioned. On the website. Check it out on the channel right here. Just literally put up my Spider-Man Far From Home No Way Home video. And I am going to be watching The Witcher Season 2. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. And then watching The Matrix next week. On Wednesday, I'll be seeing The Matrix the day it comes out.
For that.
Yeah, Matrix Revolutions or Resurrections. That's going to be cool. Long time coming. I've done many series rewatches. I put this out on Twitter. I've rewatched all the Matrix movies. I rewatched all the Spider-Man movies. I rewatched all the Ghostbuster movies, and I played through all the Halo games, the mainline Halo games, in preparation for all these sequels. And man, oh man, so far, it's been a good thing to do the homework on a lot of these things, because it has definitely helped increase my enjoyment of experiencing all these sequels. And I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I'm going to be celebrating Christmas and Christmas Eve. It's always a fun time. Just doing that with the family. So very much looking forward to that. And like I said, I'll be online. You guys can follow me at Starrapter. You can follow Ben at Real Ben Mater. That is going to do it for Outer Rim Transmission number 38. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys in the chat for interacting, as you always do. It's a lot of fun seeing things come through live. And that's also going to do it for Milton. You can find him at Milton Weber 7. Wasn't able to make it this time, but we can be rest assured he'll be on that review for the Book of Boba Fett. We'll get you guys on here somehow. So that's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching, and end transmission.